So today guys, we're going to be showcasing a new build that you guys might want to try. Definitely has a lot of the survivability that you look for in builds that can still hit really hard. Now, I decided to go with a little bit more DPS than the survivability on this build, but if you would like to have a little bit more survivability, adding another armor core will definitely be the way to go. But as you can see here, having the extra DPS allows me to shred through these heroic enemies with ease, and that's what I was going for with this build. I actually like this build almost as much as I like a Hunter's Fury build, but obviously I still think Hunter's Fury builds are probably some of the best survivability builds in the game, for the fact that it does already come with that 20% armor on kill, plus if you put it on the gunner class, that's 30%, and on this build we only have 10%. But we'll get through the full build in a second. I just wanted to show you some gameplay, show you how fast I was clearing this and how fast I was destroying these tanky enemies, as you guys are seeing here. So what we'll do here is we'll break down the build, and we'll actually continue to show you more gameplay as I talk about the build itself. So I mentioned it, I am running the gunner class, and that allows me to get that extra 10% armor on kill, plus allows me to use the Banshee Pulse. I really feel like the Banshee Pulse is essential, especially if you're not running the shield anymore, because it disorients the enemy that's in front of you. And when you do that, you have time to just shred them, and they just don't have a chance, as you guys are seeing right here. So using that Banshee Pulse is only enabled by using the gunner class. For the weapon, we are using the Vector SBR with SMG damage, crit chance, damage targets out of cover. Plus we have 101,000 damage, almost 102 with the stack, because the stack is kind of still active on the backpack. We are using the In Sync, and the reason why is because hitting an enemy grants 15% skill damage. And if I'm using a skill or damaging an enemy with the skill, I get 15% weapon damage. Now, if you have both of these active, you'll get 30% skill damage and 30% weapon damage. So a lot of damage out of the weapon itself. We have crit damage on the scope, crit damage on the underbarrel, and crit damage on the muzzle, plus a 20-round mag. For the secondary, usually the Scorpio is always a safe bet, because when you fight those tankier enemies, if you want to stop them in place because of the way the stack works, it's a great weapon to use there. If we dive into the build, you can see we are running the Grupo Sombra mask with 15% critical hit damage. We have armor, we have critical chance, critical hit damage, and then we have a critical hit damage mod on there. So ideally, you do want to have a few pieces with blue, so that way you can get that 1.4 million armor. As I said, if you want to have a little bit more tankiness, you can actually put more blues on the build. For the chest, we are running the Sokolov chest. We have a 2-piece with SMG damage, critical hit damage. We have weapon damage on here, critical damage, critical chance, and then critical hit damage mod. For the talent, we decided to go with the Obliviate. This is going to give us critical hits, increase total weapon damage by 1% for 5 seconds, stacking up to 25 times. Now this build is full with crit chance, crit damage, so we shouldn't have an issue keeping this active as long as we have enemies in front of us. Now for the holster, we have a Sokolov holster, our second piece. We have armor on here, we have critical damage, and we have critical hit chance. Now for the knee pads, we have the Fox Pair knee pads with weapon damage, damage targets out of cover, and critical hit damage. Obviously, most of you guys know by now, damage targets out of cover is multiplicative, so it definitely is a go-to piece for most of your DPS builds. Now for the gloves, we have another piece that has multiplicative damage with the 8% damage to armor. We have critical damage on there, weapon damage, and then obviously you guys can see my expertise level on most of my pieces. And one of the best pieces for solo, or if you guys are playing in Countdown, I think is Memento, because when you do build that full stack at 30, that means that you're gonna have 30% weapon damage, 30% skill efficiency, and even 3% armor regen. So that 30% skill efficiency is gonna help out that turret. The weapon damage obviously is gonna be helping out you, and every time you pick up a trophy, I get 20% more weapon damage, 30% more bonus armor, and then I get that 5% skill efficiency. So probably one of my favorite pieces to put on a lot of solo player builds, but you can actually run this in a group in game modes like Countdown, because you will be killing fast enough to get those kills, so you'll be able to get those trophies. So whether you guys want to play the open war solo, do mission solo, or if you want to play Countdown in matchmaking, this build will be a build that you guys can put together and will work alongside the Hunter's Fury build that I put out a couple of days ago. Either way you guys go, you guys will have fun with this. I do like this build because it does have that SMG damage, and it hits very hard. And as you guys have seen, these enemies were just dropping and shredding. So I can get through control points, get through landmarks, get through whatever I need to get through pretty quick. And that means I can get more XP faster, and I level up faster, so I'm not wasting any time. Now, I will tell you what really helps out this build, honestly, is the Banshee Pulse, because having enemies get disoriented, even if it's for a little, helps out a ton. So that's why running that specialization is definitely something I would highly recommend. If we take a quick look at the crit chance on this build, we're sitting at 55%, 174% crit damage, 70% headshot damage, 8% armor damage, and 18% damage to targets out of cover. So a lot of damage on this build, and that's why once you build up the memento stacks and you start collecting those trophies, you just start hitting harder and harder, because even without the stack, you're already hitting hard. So just imagine once you get that. Now you can see our armor on kill is about 136,000. So it's not a ton, but I feel like it gives you that little bit of survivability. And the armor regen, you can't really take a note of this right here because it's not at full stack. So when we have a 30 stack, that would be the best place for you guys to see that. For the skills, we are running the striker drone. As you can see, I leveled mine up to 5. So it has 5% extra striker damage, but this thing is going to perform better as you get more stacks. Once you get that 30% skill efficiency, it will do well. And then we have the pulse, the Banshee Pulse. And that's what I was telling you guys. I really feel if you guys use this Banshee Pulse, it's gonna make your gameplay improve, especially with the build like this that you wanna be up close and personal with the build. Obviously, Banshee Pulse isn't gonna work with the build that you're gonna sit back. But if you guys want to run a build like this, that we are focused on that SMG damage, well, this is going to be the best way to run it, in my opinion. Now, if you don't want to run something like In Sync, well, you guys can swap that out. If you want to run something like Dark Winter, maybe instead of running the Striker drone, you could run the Defender drone. You guys can play with the skills. I just think the one skill you should use is the Banshee Pulse, and you guys can just thank me later for putting you onto that if you guys haven't been using it already. So that's the build right there, guys. If you guys have any questions on how to run this build, if you guys prefer running different talents, let me know. I just felt like switching up the talents a little bit would definitely give people other options besides just running your traditional Hunter's Fury build like you guys saw. I feel like the Hunter's Fury is going to be a little bit easier to put together because you just have to farm those 4 pieces. But something like this is definitely fun to use if you guys can get those stacks going and obviously get the memento backpack rolling. So let me know what you guys think. If you guys have any questions, let me know. This is build I've been running recently in Countdown, and it's been doing tremendous. And I'm telling you, you could do this solo or you could do this in matchmaking for Countdown. All right, guys, I'll see you guys in the next one. But until then, hey, nothing but skills out.